and let y'all wonder what I was thinking about saying. By the way, I will mention on that Krispy Kreme run, it's not a pretty picture at the halfway point. I mean, there may be videos out there somewhere, but you don't want to watch videos on full stomach. Probably go ahead and put it in. But the students started that, not Krispy Kreme, which we supply the donuts, and it really has become an exciting event, and they're raising money for good causes. I've got to tell you that this is probably, I probably shouldn't say, the most enthused I've ever been about getting to share some thoughts. And it's really just the irony of the dates. About 7 years plus ago, Frank Martin asked me if I would address your club. And on October 16, 2007, I came in the role as chairman of Krispy Kreme. And Krispy Kreme had the stock had dropped from 50 to around 2, it was on its way to 1. And I shared some of the challenges that we had and were having at that point in time. We talked a little bit about the SEC, that's the Securities Exchange Commission, not the Southeastern Conference, about the Securities Exchange Commission's investigations, both criminal and civil. The Justice Department, DOJ, was investigating the company both criminally and civilly. We were being sued by shareholders. We had a written lawsuit. ERISA was suing us. We were in violation of all of our financial bank covenants. And there were a few other little miscellaneous things that I don't know about. It was a challenging time, and what I shared with you, despite all those challenges, was the thing that was killing me and hurting me the most, as someone who's gotten to know the people and loved the brand and product, was the fact that the company itself was being so belated, in the press and on blog sites, etc. And I shared with you that I just wish people who were writing that understood that those that they're berating that made the decisions that drove the company down like that are no longer there. And the people that are being hurt by these news articles and this related are those that are working their fingers to the bone to try to resurrect it. And they're good people who have families, who go to church with people who are writing articles. And I know that's news and I understand it, but at that point I was really painful. And I shared with you that I thought, despite that people were going to stay strong, the brand of the product would stay strong, and Krispy Kreme would find a way to be great again. I did not share with you that I was concerned at that point in time as chairman whether or not we brought the right CEO in to turn it around. We had technically the fourth CEO in 3 years, and for a public company, that's not something you're proud of. And I was concerned, great man, but just whether this was the right job for him. I had no idea that 2.5 months later, I would have said yes, and on the first week of January 2008, that I would be stepping in as the new CEO. It was the furthest thing from my mind. But to make that part of the story short, when I was asked, I said no, but I said let me go home and talk to Peggy and let the two of us pray about it. And we both came out of it, believing that that's where I was supposed to be. So was it a commitment to the people? Yes. A commitment to us, we thought it maybe was a calling on that. So we moved to Winston-Salem, January of 2008, and I'll pick up the story from there, because I think that when I was asked to make the talk, I think that one of the things he said was, tell us a little bit about what took place, tell us a little bit about the leadership and management that was there, etc. So I'm going to do that. But first, let me tell you a story. I want you to hear the story, kind of retain it, because I'll refer to it later on. I think I'll do something before I tell the story. You'll hear me mention the word faith in it. I know this is not a faith talk, but my faith is Christian, and my Lord and Savior is the center of my life. He's the center of who I am, he's the center of all I do. I couldn't tell the story without the word faith. For those of you of other faiths, or what faith you put in, I still hope the story will be meaningful, and you can apply it to your own life and your own way of thinking. So I just wanted to share that with you. The story is this. This story apparently was told by a college professor a number of years ago in a time management class. And he walked in, and the class was ready, and he pulled a great big gallon jug out from under his desk, put it on his desk, and he filled it with about a dozen or so good-sized rocks. He moved the class and said, okay, it was up to the brim. He said, would you say that I filled this jug? And they said, yes. And he said, no, I have not. He then brought out a bag of pebbles, and he poured the pebbles in there, shook them up a little bit, and got it up to the brim. And he said, do you think it's full now? Well, they were catching on. And they said, no, don't believe it is. I said, okay, you're right. You got a bag of sand now. Pour poured the sand in, filled in the depth between the rocks and the pebbles, and up to the brim. He said, how about now? They still wouldn't bite, so they said, no, don't think so. He said, you're right again. And then he got a jug of water, and he poured the water in until it all ended up at the rim, Then he asked the students, he said, okay, what lesson can you learn from what I just did? And one of the very bright students up near the front threw his hand up and said, I believe what you're teaching us is that no matter how full our schedule is, there's always room for a little bit more. The professor looked at it and said, no. that is not the lesson for the day. He said the lesson for the day is that if you don't put the big rocks in first, they'll never get in there. And he said, so what you need to think about in your personal life and your business life is what are the big rocks? And be sure to address them first and let the pebbles and the sand and the water find their place among the big rocks. Interesting thought. So hold that, and I'll tell you how that pertains to the 7 years that I just spent in Krispy Kreme. The reason the timing for this is so amazing is I spoke to you before, 2.5 months before becoming the CEO and president. And last Thursday, I retired from Krispy Kreme. I'm still the chairman, but I'm no longer the executive chairman, and I gave up the CEO role in June of last year. So these talks sandwich almost beyond belief, perfectly, my 7 years. So when I was asked to do this, I don't want to admit this to you, but I really didn't start thinking that a lot until this weekend. And the reason was I knew things were passing when I said yes back in June of July last year. I had no idea. I thought I'd stay executive chairman for at least a couple of years. But the great news is the CEO we brought in is extraordinary. And it did not take me long to realize, and this is not humility, this is fact, that he is much better equipped to take that company and lead it from here than I ever would have been and ever could be. And so once we overlapped for a while, I shared what I could. He knows I'm on call. There was no need for me to be there and have an office there any longer. I wanted to clear out and let everyone there understood who was making the decision. So Krispy Kreme is just blessed the fact that number one, I could never get out early, but number two is an endorsement of who we got. So for the first time this weekend, literally the first time, I'm retired. Of course, my wife says I've already flunked retirement twice, and she's sure I'll do it again someday. But I feel retired, and so I was able to think back on the 7 years. Believe me, I know this sounds strange, but I had not done that for 7 years. I hadn't really gone back to that January of 2008 and thought about it. So here are my thoughts from those 7 years. What was my job? When I got there, it was clear to me that the big rock, by far the big rock at the place, right, was the people. Above all, and everything else. In spite of the covenant violations financially, yes, it was a company to rebuild, yes, it was a financial statement to repair, but it was the people. So my task was to help those people believe again. And they had to learn to believe in themselves, to believe in each other, to believe in the product, to believe in the brand, to believe in the company itself, and maybe most important, taking all that together, to believe in the future. And that was my task. There were other peripherals, which I shall get to, but that was the task. So I realized the most important thing for me to do was spend time with people. So I had a wonderful chief financial officer. I said, Doug, you work on that. You work on the bank relationships. You work on all the things we've got to do. Call me when you need me. I'll come in. But right now, I've got to be out amongst the business. So I started a habit on Fridays, and every Friday, I was a pretty good habit because they were going to take a half day off. Fridays after lunch, I quit work. And I just walked around the building. And I walked around the building to meet the people, get to know them, find out what's going on in their lives, how they're feeling about the company, but more important, how are their spouses doing, how are their children doing, how are their parents doing, what was going on, what was really important to them. And I traveled all the way from Japan to the Middle East. We were at that point about 14 countries. We're now in 24. And I met franchisees. Keep in mind, one of the lawsuits we have was a franchisee lawsuit. I traveled all over the country, and I went to the franchisees that had been suing us. And I said, listen, we're going to do it, but we can't do it without you. We can't do it if we're fighting each other. Give me a year. And a year from now, I'll come back to see you. And if you don't believe then we'll talk about what we can do. Because every one of them, there were 7 of them, 7 of those particular ones. Every one of them said, Jim, all we want is out. We believe you, but this has been a bad experience. We want out. And I'll tell you right now, the great thing. Every one of those 7 is still with us, and every one of them has built new stores in the last 2 or 3 years. So it's been an amazing story, but I had to reach out to them, had to be a part of them. So the people part was my major task. We did other things. You know, we developed 3 to 5 year strategic plan. We made our business decisions predicated on that plan. We worked hard with advice. We did stupid things. We built a store in North Winston when we had no money to build it. But I knew that our team members had seen nothing but stores closed, or reading about stores closed, and they needed something to hang on to. And bricks and mortar going up as opposed to closing down. I thought it was critical psychologically. So I went in to the CFO and said, I'm giving permission for a new store. You figure out how we're going to pay for it. I had an easy job, didn't I? I could just do it. So we did some things like that, and we had to exit some people. And that's not easy when you're a fairly paternalistic company. But it's the right thing for them, it's the right thing for us, and that's the way we went about it. Let them go somewhere where they can make a difference because they weren't able to make a difference at Krispy Kreme. And slowly but surely we brought in new people who had been somewhere else, had seen it done better, he brought new ways of thinking, he would think outside the box, but he loved the brand. And interesting enough, as of Thursday when I resigned, our new CEO has only one direct report that I assumed 7 years ago, and that is the CFO. The CFO will be retiring in March, and the new CFO was already on board learning from him. So very quietly, with not much fanfare, we have turned over the senior management team 100%. And it's worked out well for those who departed. It's worked out fabulously for the strength of the team that Tony Thompson inherited in June. So we did those things. So that's sort of what the 7 years was about. It was about people and making a few changes. And I would tell you that their success has been remarkable. It's truly been remarkable. I just wish you knew the people. The various things that were being related to the ones that have done it. And stock is up probably 2,000% from its low. Its capitalization, Shell has been well rewarded. The capitalization on a net basis was below 100 million. It's about 1.4 billion now. I mean, those are not big numbers in corporate world, but they're big in terms of the psychology of what it's doing. So the people are amazing. They just are absolutely amazing. So, as I talk about that, what do I think is what I think the most important things that led the people to believe in themselves that always do come in the future. And I wrote a few of these down. I said, I think one of the most important was that we changed priorities. We tried to build a culture that they could buy into, they could get excited about. So I went to the head of HR after I've been there about 2 months, and I said, what do we do for these people? We have no money, we can't do anything great, but how can we reach out to them and totally care? And the two heads of HR said, what they don't have is time off. We're in retail, some of you are probably in retail. You're in retail, when everybody else stops celebrating a holiday, you're going after ads and jewelries, and that's the story of Krispy Kreme. And they said they need time off. So we came up with a plan, and what we do now, we still do it, but that very first year we went out and told all of our corporate employees, every year from Memorial Day to Labor Day, during that time period, you will have 4 extra days off. And here are the days. Number 1, you have to take it on a Friday or a Monday. You have to extend your weekend with it. And then on top of that, you have to use it for 1 of 3 reasons. You have to use it to extend your faith. You have to do it to spend time with your family if you're not otherwise to spend. Or you got to do it to enhance the community where you live. One of those 3. We're not doing a lot. Big Brother's not going to be there. You have to sign in, sign out, get permission from your supervisor to pick your day. But those are the 3 purposes, and we call them Faith, Family, and Community Days. And by the way, we name them that in that order on purpose. Because we started a culture of saying that is the priority of life. And if faith and family don't stay in front of Krispy Kreme in your life, Krispy Kreme is going to sink again. But if you put them in their appropriate place, there'll be plenty of time later Krispy Kreme will succeed beyond our wildest dreams. So faith, family, community days are big. Let me tell you that every department in our company now uses at least one of those days, some of them 2, as a group to go out and work on a community project. A soup kitchen, a habitat house, a homeless shelter. And it's unbelievable to see what that has done in the spirit of the people. So those were the things that we did, and those are the things that made a difference. More than anything else, just building a culture of commitment to each other, commitment to others. We did not have a mission statement. So I went around and said, what's our mission? I want to tell you in all honesty, they were a little concerned about this guy from finance coming in to be their CEO anyway, because I didn't know the proper way to spell donuts when I first got there. So I had to put the whole thing, D-O-U-G-H, I had to learn the right way to spell it. And so when I go around saying, what's our mission, like I don't know, that didn't instill a lot of confidence. And they looked at me, and they said, Jim, I think our mission is to sell a few more donuts and start making money again. And I said, okay, I got you. So I went around, and about in May, we had our first all-team meeting. And I looked at him and I said, I've got to tell you something. I've asked this question of most of you in the last few months, and you've all given a similar answer. And I want to tell you, if that is the answer, and I was serious, I'm taking fun, but I'm serious. So if that's the answer, this is my last day with you. And I mean it. I said, it's got to be bigger than that. I said, we can't work 60, 80, 100 hours a week just to sell more donuts, even Krispy Kreme donuts. And I said, so let's get together, let's figure what it's all about. It took us almost 18 months to come up with a mission statement. They came up with a plan. And our mission statement is posted in all our shops. It's very simple. Do we live it out every day, all day? No, but we try. It's this. To touch and enhance lives through the joy that is Krispy Kreme. Period. It has nothing to do with ROI. It has nothing to do with business. It is to touch and enhance lives through the joy that is Krispy Kreme. And by the way, it's kind of interesting because God has a sense of humor. It has 12 words in it, and we sell them by the dozen. So, and that's not pre-planned. So that mission statement became a critical part of our success. Having said all that, and having said they were amazing, I was asked to talk a little bit, what was the leadership style, the management style, which is interesting. And I don't know about you and your role, but I don't really think about having a style. I know I don't have rhythm. If you've ever seen me dance, I know I don't have rhythm. I don't think I've got much style. I think my leadership style is what I watch other people successfully do, and that is be yourself. You know, don't try to be what someone else is being to be successful. Take whatever gifts God's given you and use them in the role that you've assumed. So here's where I kind of describe sort of the way I've tried to lead during the last 7 years. I would give you a few of these things. One, I remember the definition of leadership that I think is one of the best I've ever heard, definition of a leader. And that is that a leader is someone who helps people go places they could have never gone on their own. Simple. I've heard that before. So the greatest leader that ever lived happens to be, the Lord that I worship. But it's a great definition, I think. A leader is someone who helps people go places they could never have gone on their own. Second thing is I've had mentors in my life. I had a father that taught me you can have an up attitude in the worst of times. But you can control that. There's not much in your life you can control, but you can't control your attitude. It's a great example. I had a wonderful mentor, as Senator Johnson Lane, Forrest Dalton. Many of y'all knew. Let me tell you one thing about Forrest. He is the greatest listener I've ever met. And I learned from Forrest that listening most of the time is a whole lot more important than speaking. It's a lesson that I've studied. I had a captain in the Navy, called Captain Mallory. When we first met him, after the change of command on our ship, we almost couldn't believe it. It was dress uniform for the big ceremony. Anybody in the Navy? Been in the Navy? Okay, you know what change of command's like. It's pretty formal. He came walking out of the wardroom after change of command in his undressed khakis, and he looked like Columbo. I'm going to tell you. We had an Annapolis graduate captain probably, so this was a new world. What I learned from Captain Mallory, he told us why he was in the Navy, and this man's Navy is because he loved me. He said, I've already been passed over for Adam. I have no more stripes to put on. I have no more titles to gain. He said, I'm here because I love it. We're going to do the best we can do because that's our job. But I have a passion for being in the Navy. So I learned from some great mentors about leadership. I believe very strongly in empowerment, but that empowerment has to come with accountability. If you get more out to others, it fails. If you empower people and let them get away with anything, that's not right. You've got to let them know when they've gone off track. And if you hold people accountable, but you never gave them the empowerment to make the decisions, that's obviously not right. So I believe in that. I believe in that you've got to treat all people fairly, but truthfully, you cannot treat all people equally. And you need to think about that. It's not unfair, okay? It's just factual. But you have to treat everybody fairly. I learned that you have got to eliminate mediocrity and complacency from the organization as quickly as possible. They are two diseases that run through your company and kill you. And I'll tell you this, for a paternalistic group like Krispy Kreme, that's hard. Because sometimes your very best people are the ones that give you the most mediocre performance or become the most complacent. So it tells you, I also learned that you can take being paternalistic at times to a fault in your corporate environment. And you've got to be careful. You're not doing anyone a favor to let them continue the job in a mediocre fashion or a complacent fashion. And you're certainly not doing the whole entity a favor. So I believe in that. And I think those are probably the main things that I sketched down last night when I was thinking about this. But I think you also have to be somewhere where you believe in the culture. I think you have to be somewhere where when you wake up in the morning, you're excited about your task. Truly, whether they read to you or not. I think you need to truly love the people you most. perform that task with. They will lead through that. And I think, quite frankly, you need to be extremely proud of the platform that you're building. You have those three elements. I think you've got a great opportunity of not only leading well, but following well and building something very special. Did I learn lessons the last 7 years? I did. I learned that you can put faith and family first in a corporate environment without sacrificing one bit of your performance and your success. In fact, I've learned that that will enhance the odds of being successful as individuals and as a group. I learned that by far, the greatest asset you have is not only about you. That the asset that's greatest in your organization is your people, and you need to treat them as the most precious asset in your organization. I learned that it's, I mentioned about the passion. I learned something about receiving credit. I learned that when you receive credit, you should never claim it, but you should be excited about sharing it. I learned that using the wisdom of hindsight is very, very valuable. As long as you're using it to learn, the minute you start using it to judge, it will kill you and those that you're judging, even if that person you're judging is yourself. Great tool from which to learn, terrible tool from which to judge. I learned that you need to correct your mistakes willingly and quickly, even if someone else brings them to your attention. You need to be willing to do it. There's an old saying that a bend in the road does not have to be the end of the road, unless you fail to make the turn. I remember that, and it held true to me, and I had to make some turns, because I made a lot of mistakes. And in essence, I learned, as I said in that story to begin with, that you've got to pay a lot of attention to your big rocks. And your big rocks are people, and then other things. Your big rocks are life, your faith, and your family, and then your corporate responsibility. So those are the things that I learned among many others. And then I sketched the exam this weekend because I was reminiscing for the first time. So if you ask me a year from now, I'll probably have these and 100 more. But that's what hit me 2 days after I had retired. Were there rewards in the test? Yeah, they were great rewards. Satisfaction of being part of the team that almost feels like a family. In fact, that was the most difficult part about the last 2 weeks. Leaving the job was easy, leaving the time was easy, leaving the responsibility was easy, leaving the schedule was easy. Leaving the people was extremely difficult. Last Friday night, 1 o'clock came along, and I wasn't doing with those next 4 to 5 hours, but I've always done for 7 years. It was home. But I'll tell you what Bufford, it was thinking about those people, and one of the great words is watching people be better than even they thought they could do. And that's exciting to see what they've done as individuals. And another reward I'll share with you that I think is important because it tells you a little bit about the brand. The brand's amazing, and y'all probably know we're a small company. We don't have 250 stores in the United States. But the brand is 1,000,000 times bigger than the company. And that puts a real obligation on it. So let me tell you this final story to let you know about the rewards that I was gifted with through that 7 years. And there were hundreds like this. Hundreds like this. Marketing came to me and said, we've got a great idea for a new day where we're really going to just celebrate. I said, great, what is it? They said, it's National Talk Like a Pirate Day. I said, what? National Talk Like a Pirate Day. I said, is there really such a day? They've got some calendar that they've got, every day is called something. They found out. They said, it's perfect for us. It'll be festive, we'll have fun, etc. I said, okay, tell me more. They said, well, what we're going to do is this. Anyone who walks in our shops and talks like a pirate, says, or ahoy, mate, gets a free donut. Free donut? Yeah. And they said, there's more. I said, there couldn't be more. And they said, if you walk in and you have at least 3 pieces of apparel on, a sword, a bandana, and a vest or something, you get a free dozen donuts. I said, wait a minute. So you're telling me that everyone who walks in our shops that entire day is either going to get a free donut or a free dozen. We're in the business of selling those. And they said, no, that's what we got in mind. I'm not in marketing. I believe very much, as I said, in empowering. I said, if you think it's a great idea, I'll just close my eyes. I said, I will not look at the store results the next day. Don't send them to me, I don't want to see them. Okay, so here's what, number one, it's been one of the most fun days the last 3 years ago that we ever had. I mean, you wouldn't believe. Go in our shops on the National Talk Like a Pirate Day. It is a riot. Our managers are dressed up in the whole thing. They're sword fighting with the kids that come in. So the first year, 3 years ago, 3 days after I get a letter from Greensboro Fraternity Press, I opened it up. was also written by my mother. And she said, "Dear Mr. Morgan, here's what I'm paraphrasing." She said, "I've got to share with you what happened to our family. I'm sorry, I struggled with this 3 days ago." Said, "Our son," she gave his name, "has leukemia and is in the very last stages. He's been bedridden in bed now for the last several weeks. And the only thing he ever does is pick up his little iPad and go on the internet sometimes." So we walked in his room 4 or 5 days ago, or 3 days ago, and he said, he looked at me and said, "Mom, I want to go to Krispy Kreme." And she said, "Something you feel like that?" She said, "I want to dress like a pirate." He had been online. He'd seen the social blitz on him. He wanted to dress like a pirate. She said he stayed to it. He stuck to it. He was going to do it. He had been out of the house at that point. She said, for several weeks. They dressed him like a pirate. They took him in. She said, the minute that they walked, carried him in. She said, our manager came up and had a sword fight with him, talked to him, got him a dozen donuts. Said it was the most unbelievable day that our family had lost. And in the final sentence of this, she said, "Ms. Morgan," she said, "it had been weeks since we had seen our son smile. Today, we got to hear him laugh. Thank you." You know what I'm working to do? And I said, "You have this holiday. Thank you. I don't care what the numbers are. I don't care what the numbers are." I changed my mind because I said, that's what we're all about. We just lived out our mission statement. We touched and enhanced a life in a critical life and in family. If that happened one time in Greensboro, it happened somewhere else. And that's where it was. So my closing thought is simply this. The greatest lesson I think I've learned, and one that I want to share with you, is that no matter what we accomplish in life, no matter what we do, no matter what our written resume may say, I do not think people will remember us by what we've done nearly as strongly as they are by how we make them feel. So my charge to all of us is to start today. We walk out of this room, all of us, we walk out of this room committed that today, we're going to touch and enhance a life. We're going to make it feel better than it would have been had we not been there. And that every night in our lives from now on, as we're going to sleep, we're going to ask ourselves the question, did we make someone feel better today? The answer is no. We're going to wake up more reinvigorated to do it. The answer is yes. We're going to smile and say, you know what? And today was a worthwhile day in my life as well. I challenge and challenge all of us to do that. And I thank you very much for letting me